Okay, great. So let me start. Yeah. So we are looking at these folds, okay, which is a very important abstraction. It abstracts out a very nice pattern and gives you a higher order function. That is very, very useful, and it's very ubiquitous in Haskell. As you program, you will progress from, of course, I need to give you some exercises and so on. But as you program more and more, you will progress from doing recursion like this, explicit recursion like this, towards using more and more abstract functions like map, filter, etc. automatically. Okay, and that will actually improve the readability as well as the chance for correctness of your programs. Okay, so these patterns are very important, and it's good to know them. It's good to internalize them. Just 1 second. Okay, great. So we looked at this example. So this folds, there is a left fold and a right fold. We'll see both, and this abstracts out this particular pattern. Okay, so we already introduced these patterns, map and filter. Map takes a list, it applies a function to every element in the list, and it produces an output list. Okay, the output list is the input list where every element has a function applied on it. Filter, it takes a list, it outputs a list, but the output list is a sub list of the original list. Namely, it will try to apply a condition on every element of the list. Anytime the condition is satisfied, it will put it in the output list. Otherwise, it won't put it in the output list. Yes, anybody had a question to ask? Okay. So do you see the PDF occupying the full screen, or is there some black thing on the sides? Can someone confirm?
There's a black thing.
Okay. I don't know how to improve this situation.
Oh yes, that's better.
This might, okay. So this much, okay. I need to somehow, so this is a new machine, and Zoom seems to think that the whole screen should be the somehow Zoom seems to think that this whole screen is what should be. Yeah, but okay, I'll stick to this. So next time I'll fix this. Okay, sorry. Okay, so we saw map and filter, but now you have a new kind of pattern which is illustrated by the sum function, the multiply function, etc., which is to take a particular function and combine all the elements of the list using that function. Okay, that function will be a binary function. You will combine adjacent elements one after the other. Okay, so here you take plus. So this is the definition of sum. Sum of the empty list is 0. Sum of a non-empty list is x colon x is x plus sum of x's. Similarly, for product, it is the multiplication function. Product of x colon x is x times product of x's, and so on. What is the common pattern here? The common pattern is this, that you are combining. In this instance, it is just int and it's all ints. So you are combining using a function that takes 2 integers and returns an integer. There is an initial value. In the case of sum, it was 0. In the case of product, it was 1. And you have a list of integers that is given as input, and you produce 1 integer as output. Okay. So in the case of map and filter, you produced lists as output. In the case of this combine function, you will produce 1 value. So you want to combine the whole of a list into 1 value. Okay, and the recursion is simple. Combine of f, the function that you want to use to combine, and initial value v. If your list is empty, then you just return the initial value v. Otherwise, you combine using the function and the initial value on the tail x's. Okay, and then finally you apply the function f on the first element and the result of the recursive part. Is this clear? Yes, anyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So by the way, do you see a lot of disturbance here? Somehow today there is a lot of disturbance. I perhaps need to go to CMI to teach henceforth. The traffic here is increasing too much. So anyway, so let me at least use my earphones so that perhaps I don't know, maybe it will help. Just a minute. Okay, so we are talking about combine, and yes, so now once you have this, you can express sum as nothing but combine using the plus function and the initial value 0. Product is nothing but combine using the multiplication function and the initial value 1. Note that we are adopting the convention that the sum of the empty list is 0 and sum of the product of the empty list is 1. And this is standard in mathematics. The empty sum is 0 and the empty product is 1, because those two are the additive identity and the multiplicative identity. Okay, so now instead of defining our own combine, Haskell offers some inbuilt thing called fold R. Okay, fold from the right. Okay, and the definition is exactly the same as combine, except that the type is more general. Okay, so let us write it on GSCI or whatever, and let me show you how to derive the type. So here you can see the editor, right? So let me put it all under comments. So fold R of FV empty list equals V. So please tell me if you need me to increase the font sizes and such. Yeah, F applied to X and fold R of FV XS. Okay, so now the general type of function f, this is a function that takes 2 arguments, right? So its type will be f, its type will in general be A arrow, B arrow, C. Okay. Okay, so given that this is the case, what do you, okay, and the general type of fold R, it takes the function as the first argument. So its type is A arrow, B arrow, C. Arrow, it takes an initial value, let's call its type to be D, and then it takes a list, let's call its type to be E, and it produces a final output whose value, whose type is T, let us say. Is the type declaration clear? I'm giving it as general as possible. Tell me if it is okay, because
okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Please tell me also if you can't hear me properly or any such. Okay, now we know that yes, does somebody have something to say? We know that f is a function that is being applied on okay, so first thing is that folder of FV empty list is V, right? So going with the type of folder, what is the type of V then? T, right? But we have already said that V is of type D. So therefore, D equals T. Okay, fine. What else can we say? F, so F is being applied on X and something, and X is of type E, right? Why is X of type E?
X belongs to the list.
Okay, X belongs to the list and the list is of type list E. Okay, but also, but first argument of F is of type A. Okay, so A equals Z. Yes, is it clear? Okay, then right? Yes. So D equals T, A equals E. Right. So second argument of F in Fx folder FVXS is of type
T.
T, right? Because it is the return value of
folder.
right. It is the return value of folder. But second argument is also of type B.
B.
So B equals T. So combining all this, okay, I'll have oh, what about C then? C is the same as what about C?
T.
C is also equal to T. C is also T equal to T because it is the return type of both folder FV X:(XS) and Fx folder FVXS. Okay, so I have given you the complete reasoning. So therefore, you can now say that so C is also equal to T. So therefore, so the type of folder is therefore so instead of okay A arrow B arrow, instead of writing C, what will I write? C is equal to T, but B is also equal to T, so C is equal to B. So I can write C is also equal to, so yeah, let me first summarize the equalities. So A is A, there is nothing more to it, B is B, there is nothing more to it, but B is T is B, I'll write C is equal to T equal to B. Okay, so that is something that we have. Then when you come to D, D is equal to where did we have it? D is equal to T. Okay, but T is equal to B, so D is also equal to B. Okay, so C is B, D is B, T is also B directly. Okay, E, what about E? E is A. And T is B. Okay, so finally you can write the type of folder as A arrow B arrow, instead of C use B. Okay, arrow, instead of D the initial value again use B, instead of list E you can say list A, arrow instead of saying T you can say B. Okay, so this is finally the type of folder. So if you come here and ask for the type of folder, you will get this. Okay, of course that will say foldable T, but instead of foldable T is what we wrote here as list A. Okay, so in case T is a foldable kind of type constructor, use this thing, but we can ignore that now. So I can ask the default type of folder, but it might make it too default. No, it doesn't. Okay, so default type of folder is this. Okay, A arrow B arrow B arrow B arrow list A arrow. Okay, is this fine? Okay, so that is about the type. So I just wanted to show you one example where you can actually sit and figure out the abstract type for yourself, but henceforth I'll just tell you how it works intuitively and then we'll proceed. Okay, we won't be doing it in such detail. Okay, so this is the definition of folder. So let us see how folder works. Folder FV on some list, let us say X1, X2, X3 is nothing but apply the second rule recursively, because X1, X2, X3 is X1 colon the list X2, X3. So it is F applied on X1 and folder FV X2, X3. But this internal thing is nothing but F applied to X2 of folder FV list X3. But this internal thing is nothing but F applied to X3 and folder FV empty list but folder FV empty list by applying the first rule is just V. Okay, so if you have something like this, you will get f of x1 applied on recursively, f of x2 applied on recursively, f of x3v. If you write it in infix notation, it is even better, because you will, instead of writing it in this manner, you will write it in this manner. Okay, you will say x1 f, x2 f, whatever f, xn minus 1 f, xn fv. Okay, this is what you will write, and this is precise, and it is very good to look at this form of the expression, because this corresponds exactly to this. A list itself, x1 x2 till xn, is nothing but x1 colon x2 colon xn colon etc all the way till empty list. Okay, and thankfully this colon is right associative, so you can dispense with all the parentheses there. But with f you cannot do that, because f is, it's not clear that it is right associative. Typically for many operators it is left associative, so here you have to put the brackets. Yeah, but do you see this pattern that instead of, so a list itself is just one element colon another element colon another element colon dot 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 all the way till finally you say colon empty list for a finite list, I mean. Okay, and if you replace the colon by the function, and if you replace the empty list by some initial value, that is what you will get as the result of folder. Okay, so for instance, sum is folder plus 0, xs is x1 colon this whole thing. Okay, just replace the empty list by 0 and the colon by plus, and this is what you mean by sum, right? When you sum it using the right, also using from folding from the right. Okay, you first add the last element to 0, then add xn minus 1 to the result, then add xn minus 2 to the result, etc etc. Similarly, product. Okay, instead of empty list you have 1, and instead of colon you have star. Any questions here? Please ask me if you have any questions, otherwise it looks like I'm just lecturing to the void. Okay, good. Right, so here is one important thing. Here is a nice feature in Haskell, which this is the appropriate context to introduce this feature, namely so-called anonymous functions. Okay, what is an anonymous function? An anonymous function is a function where you need not give a name to the function. Oh, but if you don't give a name to the function, how does it work? It works as follows. So for instance, if I want to compute length, I can do it as follows. Okay, I'll say length equals my length. Let me say my length equals folder of f0. 0 is the initial value, right? Because the length of an empty list is 0. What is the f? F should somehow combine the previous value with something. It will not combine the previous value with the current element. So notice that the current element need not always be used. Okay, so if you look at the thing, the equation says that folder fv x colon x's is f applied on x and folder v fv x's, but this f need not use x, right, as in its definition. So can somebody tell me what would be the f that would be appropriate to use to compute length in this case? Suppose I want to define my length as folder f0. What will my length function be?
Sir, can you repeat the question? I didn't catch it.
So can you complete the definition? Is all I'm asking. I want length function folder f0 where f what? F takes 2 arguments clearly, because this has to be the function argument in folder takes 2 arguments, and the first argument is of the type element of the list, and the second argument is of type result. In this case, let's say both are the element of the list could be anything. So f is of type a arrow int. That's a hint. So what is the definition of f?
F of x axis.
No, what do you mean by f of x axis? Define f. Define f such that folder f0 will give me length. Do you understand the question?
So I guess we can define it to be 1.
One.
Sir, f of x empty list is
A plus.
No, f of x not empty list. Sorry, I want, it can't be empty list. No, why will f of x be on empty list? F will operate on two. See, look at this. This is the type of f.
1 plus n.
Exactly. Who said that?
Chandradeep.
Chandradeep. Okay, yeah. So who asked this question of f of x empty list?
Sir Swaminathan.
Yeah. Is it clear now? See, f
Yes.
will operate on two values, a, b, and return a value. The b might be a list for all you know, but right now you don't know. Okay. So you are dealing with a list of elements of type A, but f will be operating on two arguments. The first argument will be the element type of the list. Okay. So if so here, look at this. Let me clear this. Yes. So you have list A here. The first argument of f is the type of the element of the list. Okay. And the second argument is whatever you want to return. In this case, what is it that you want to return in my length? Swaminathan?
Sir, you want to return the length, so it should
Yeah,
be
no, it is int, right? And what is the type of the first argument of f? It is whatever
Int.
the type of, it is not int, it is whatever the type of the element of the list is. We don't know what the type of the element of the list is. It is some general A,
yeah, yes, sir.
right? So you want an f which is a arrow int, and okay, now it's clear. Now you will define it as f of xn equals n plus 1. Okay, and now where does it right. Okay, so now I've done this. Let me save this. Let me go here and ask something like my length of 0.100. What do you think the result should be, Swaminathan?
Sir, it should be 101.
Great. Oh, because I didn't reload. Yes, it's 101 and so on. Fine. Okay, but now look at this function. This is some trivial function, right? N plus 1. Okay, and I needed to go and write a whole folder f0 and then where f is this. I had to write. When you read a program like this, it cuts into the flow of the program. See, you have to see f here, and then you have to go down there to see what the definition of f is, etc. And this is such a small function. No? It's a simple expression. You don't need to necessarily define a whole function for that. Okay. Instead, what can you do? Instead of giving a name for that function, you just do this. Okay. This is an anonymous function. Okay. In an anonymous function, you put a backslash and put all the argument names, and then you put the body of the function. Is it clear? So the same thing that we had earlier, you could have written it as instead of all this, let me comment that out. Yeah, instead of all that, you could have written it to be my length equals folder xn n plus 1. And the initial value is 0. Is this clear? Yes, now I'll save and recompile. Can somebody tell me how to improve this a little further? And emphasize the fact that that x is not used in the body.
You can put an underscore.
Underscore.
Exactly. Very nice. Yes. So you can also put underscores in the arguments to your anonymous functions. Yeah, this is a very, very useful feature. So now, so clearly, even in this small example, this is better because this is better to read because the moment you see folder, you want to know what function you are folding over the elements of the list, and I'm immediately giving you this function. Okay. It is my own function.
So what if the function has multiple cases?
If it is a complex function, then you give a name and do it. Okay. Anonymous functions, there are only, I am just telling you that this is a feature, not that you should always use this feature. Okay. You should use this feature when the function definition is very simple like this. So that you can read the whole thing in the flow of reading your folder function. If your function using to fold the elements of the list is itself complex, then you have to anyway separately define it. Okay, it is all, Haskell is offering you a choice. It is up to you how to, you could of course do this backslash whatever and then give a whole lot of definition. You can do that, Haskell will allow it, but that is not helping readability, right? Who asked this question, please? If I say right, at least you should say right or no or wrong. Who is this? Sorry, I didn't catch her.
I'm
Sagnik.
Shamik. Yes.
Okay, good. So are you convinced?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So now,
Can I ask something?
yes, please. Yes.
How does the Haskell know that the output type of this anonymous function is compatible with folder? And because you're not giving a type definition, so
Okay, but Haskell, you needn't give the type definition for anything, right? The type definition, we are giving it for our sake, not for Haskell's sake. Haskell doesn't need you to give any type. Haskell, if you give a type, it will test your understanding basically, whether you have understood it correctly. Okay, the way Haskell does this, the way Haskell deals with type is that it will first ignore whatever typing you have given. It will figure out the type on itself, like it did here. I've told you this whole exercise, right? And this whole exercise is not what a human does. It is what Haskell does. This whole thing. That's an automatic procedure. Okay, saying that this is this. It'll do exactly this procedure. It will start with some most general type, A arrow, B arrow, C arrow, D arrow, list E arrow, T kind of thing, and then it will figure out equalities between those types based on based on the definitions. Okay, and then it will figure out something like this type. If you gave a type of the form int arrow, int arrow, int arrow, int arrow, list int arrow, int, all it will do is then verify that your type is a more restricted version of the type that it has derived. Okay, or in technical terms, your type is an instance of the type that it has derived. Okay, Romit. Yes
okay,
or
sir.
no? Is
Yes.
do you
So what is the
understand?
use of taking x as an argument in this function fxn? Like in the mylength.
Oh, that is because in the folder thing, the folder expects a function of 2 arguments, right?
Yes, sir.
The folder function, yeah, the function that folder accepts should be of, takes as the first argument. Folder is taking this f as first argument, and that f should have 2 arguments, going by the definition of folder. And you want to fit this into that pattern, that is why you have to give 2 arguments.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, great. So let me return. Thanks. Keep the questions coming. Okay, so such a thing has a name. It's called lambda. Okay, by the way, lambda is the Greek letter. You know how it's written. It's written like this. If you don't know, this is lambda, right? So this thing, and this Haskell derives from something called lambda calculus, and so you can see that this backslash is like half a lambda, just the stem of the lambda. Okay, and this notation means that consider the function of 2 arguments, namely x and n, such that the output of the function is n this expression. Okay, you are describing the function without naming it. Okay, you can also give it a name actually if you want to. Okay, you can say f equals the function lambda xn dot n plus 1. That is the same as this saying fxn equals n plus 1. Okay, so this is just a curiosity. So let's get back to folds. Okay, what happened?
So why was the dash before lambda in the like?
The dash is to say that you can ignore x. X is not being used. Whenever something is not being used, you can give the underscore pattern. You can give any pattern here in the arguments. They need not just be names. They can be any patterns. And underscore is one particular pattern which says anything goes. It matches anything, but also it signifies that the first argument is not used in the body. Yeah, I think I dealt with all this in the third lecture or whatever. Go back and look at the slides. Okay, underscore is there to mention that I don't care what the value is. Okay,
Yes.
that is why you use it. Okay, great. Okay, yes. Okay, now yeah. So here is a trivial example of folder colon empty list. Okay, that is nothing but identity. Why identity on list? Because remember that folder itself replaces the colon operator by some your own operator, and the empty list by your initial value v, right? And you are giving empty list as the initial value and colon itself as the function. So it is exactly the same as identity function. Yeah. And here is another example. Folder Excel L++6. So let us work through this. Let us first look at some examples. Mystery, let me call it. It's not too much of a mystery. Let me just fix the types. List A arrow list A is what I want. And I want to express it using folder. Or better still, I'll ask you this question. So instead of calling it mystery, I want to call it my reverse. I want to reverse a list. How do you achieve reversal using folder? What will be the F and what will be V? Volunteers, please.
Last,
So just think through the recursive steps. Folder FV of empty list. You want, so we can actually write it out if you want. So the nice thing about Haskell is that you can very clearly reason about your programs and arrive at a program. So we want FV such that folder FV equals reverse. Folder FV list equals reverse of list. Okay. Let's figure out. Folder FV empty list is what we want it to be, reverse of the list, right? So reverse of empty list, which is nothing but empty list. So what is F? What is V for you?
List A.
Huh? No.
List A.
List A is a type.
Restricted.
I want a value here. Now, what is V? No, I'm not asking about the type of V. I'm asking what is
Empty list.
exactly, because look at the definition here. I know that folder V empty list should be equal to V, and I want V to be empty list. Okay, so V equals. So let me write. So recall that. Okay, so if you want me to write, recall that folder FV empty list equals equals V in general. So in our example, V equals empty list. Okay, great. So we can fix one part at least. Okay, let us see if we can figure out the F as well. Okay, so folder of FV x:(xs). On the one hand, just following the definition of folder, what is it?
F applied to X.
F applied to X and folder FV x's. Okay, great. On the other hand, you want this to be reverse of x:(xs). We want folder FV x:(xs) to be equal to reverse of x:(xs). But what is reverse of x:(xs)? If you think about a naive definition of reverse, it is reverse of x's plus list x, singleton list x. Okay, so let's assume that folder FV x's equals reverse x's. Okay, so how do you achieve this equation? From that, we want Fx what is F? Can you name a simple F? Yes.
Sir?
Yes, Srimati, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you define F to be a folder?
No folder. No, there is nothing folder here. This is all you have. You want a general F. You need to just generalize this. That's all you want. What is reverse of x:(xs)? Think about that, and then I have already given you this. Reverse of
Huh.
x colon x. Yeah.
Yeah, so you want fx to go to the ending, right? Like plus plus. Something
Yeah,
like
but
that.
it's not just fx, no? Fx something else. Fxl. Instead of reverse of x's, think of it as L. What is fxl? X, f has two arguments, right? F, x, and L. What is f of x and L?
L plus plus x.
That's it. L plus plus singleton list x.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody is writing something on chat. Okay, great. No, it's not n plus plus x. You see, it's n plus plus singleton list x. Subranil Dev is yes. Okay, great. So is it clear? So I'm going a little slow and actually showing you some reasoning, etc., which might not be necessary in a first course, but it is okay. You can handle all this. And it also tells you that Haskell, there is a lot of logical sense to Haskell. Okay. Rather than floundering around, you can always write out equations like this and figure out what function you want. Okay. Always. Okay. So then, therefore, f is fxl equals L plus plus singleton list x. But of course, we'll write it as an anonymous function. And if you write it as an anonymous function, how will you write? Backslash xl arrow L plus plus singleton list x. That's it. Okay. And yes. So you can go here and check my reverse. I don't know. Yes. So you have things like this. Okay. So you have this. Okay. So that's another example of folder. So f is just reverse, but of course it's not a great reverse because it takes time proportional to n squared. Why? Because every time you're doing plus plus. Okay. Plus plus takes time proportional to the first list. Okay. I hope that is clear. Proportional to the length of the first list. Okay. And yes, we'll see how you can use the other fold from the left to actually get a the usual fast reverse that we defined. You can get using fold from the left. Okay. Okay. Here is another example. Concat. Okay. And folder of plus plus empty list, because you have a list of lists. You are combining those lists using plus plus. Okay. That's all there is to it.
So will this be left associative or right associative? This one.
Will what be left associative?
This F1. And then the previous example, the folder Excel changes.
What do you mean by left associative?
Like first empty list is being added to X's. Then
Yeah. Because folder does it that way only, no? Folder always does it that way. It will always go from the right. Yeah.
yes, sir.
Okay. So right. Sometimes you don't have. So for some product, etc., you have a initial value for the empty list, but sometimes you might not have a meaningful initial value. For instance, there is a function called maximum, max. Okay. For any ordered type A, it will compare two elements of type A and return the maximum of the two. Okay. So for instance, max of 10, 12 is 12. Max of, I don't know, A, H is small a, because in the ASCII tables, capital letters come before small letters, and etc. etc. Okay, that is max. There is also something called maximum. I'll ask for the default type of maximum because, yeah, sorry. Oh, default type. Okay, so read it as list A arrow A. What it is doing is it is computing the maximum of a given list. Okay, it is just a generalization of the max function. Okay, which works for two elements. Now you want the maximum of a list. Okay, now Okay, now let us come back to my this thing. I want to define a my maximum. But first point to notice is maximum defined on the empty list. What meaningful value of maximum can you give for an empty list?
Nothing.
Yeah, you cannot give any meaningful value. So therefore, one option would be to say that maximum will work only for maximum will give some error for the empty values. Okay, so my maximum of empty list is some error. Input list has to be non-empty. I mean, you have to do it better than this. You have to give maybe or whatever, but I don't care right now. Okay, so I'll just leave it this. Okay, what is my maximum of? We'll come to the maybe value next. Okay, what is my maximum of L? Right, my maximum of L. No, but you have to now give a second case, right? You have to give singleton list X, then it is X. And if it is X colon X's, then you say it is max of, I'll write it in fix, X max my maximum of X's. Is the definition clear? How you do it? Now, the point is that it would be nice if you can extend your fold function to this. There is a way to do it. And what you need to say is that my maximum of a non-empty list L is nothing but fold R1 of max. Okay, what am I saying? What I am saying is that I'm trying to define maximum. Creating the whole. So sometimes this VS code, this whatever extension I'm using, it defeats the purpose. I want to define maximum, it is asking why not use maximum. Okay, see, it's saying use maximum. It says that's okay. So, but is it clear? What does fold R1 do? Fold R1 works only on non-empty lists. Okay, and it doesn't need an initial value. Why? Because it will take the last element as the value. Okay, as the start, as the seed value, if you will. Okay, so here, yes, folder of f on X colon X is this. I can just use a maximum equals folder 1 of max. Why? Because, and the type is also clear. The type is a little simpler because what is the type of folder 1? We can ask here. Default type of folder 1. So why is the simplification? Can somebody tell me? Why is the type? Why has the type become simplified so much as compared to the type of folder, which was this?
Because
firstly
V.
there is no V. Okay, so therefore there are only 2 arguments. Earlier there were 3 arguments: folder, F, V, and a list. Now there is only folder, F, and a list. Okay, there are only 2 arguments. And now what about the other things? Instead of V, what are you going to use?
You're going to use an element of E itself. So
The element of the list itself, not element of
Yeah,
V, it's the element of L itself. In particular, the last element of L. Okay, so therefore, in this type, this thing B has to be equal to A, right? So this B becomes A, this B becomes A, these two B's become A's, and this B also becomes an A. Yeah, so that is why you get this type. Is it clear?
So yes. For folder, if we put the seed value as the integer lower bound or something like that.
No, what? Once more. So I could.
So I mean for folder,
yeah.
Not folder 1, just standard folder. If we said v2 something like the lower bound of int.
Sure. You can do it, but I mean, who says that you're trying to compute the maximum of only integer lists? It could be a list of characters for all you know. But you want to also keep it generic, no? You also want it to work on as many types as possible. Maybe you want to find the maximum of a list of floating point values, in which case there is no minimum or maximum. Is that
Yes.
clear? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Fine. So folder one is useful in such cases. You can also have, if you want, now actually, if you actually speaking, if you say folder one maximum, let us say, which is the built-in function. Let me first go and compile this, load this. That's fine. My maximum of, I don't know, empty list. It will give an error here. What will the inbuilt thing do? My maximum, maximum of, okay, so it says exception prelude dot maximum empty list. Since Haskell, since that is at the system level, it knows how to suppress all this call stack kind of nonsenses when it outputs the thing. It just says this. That is okay. But for non-empty lists, they work the same. What if you want to give nothing? So this is just a simple exercise. What if you want to give nothing? So now you cannot use folder one any longer, because for the empty list, you want to give nothing. For other lists, you want to give just. Okay. So once more, you want to give okay. So let me go back here, and instead of saying error, I'll say nothing. My maximum of x. Not, I don't need these many cases. I can just say my maximum of x colon x is equal to, somebody should give me now. Let, not just a, here it should be maybe a, right? Yeah. Okay, case, yeah, my maximum of x's. Case my maximum x's of, yeah, one case is that it is nothing, another case is that it is just a. So what do I do in each of these cases? Someone tell me, please. Srimati, can you answer? What if the my maximum of the tail is nothing and the head to the
Just
list is
X.
x? Yeah, here it is just a.
Just X.
Yeah, Shubham Kumar. Okay. What if the other value is just a? Now I want Srimati can answer.
So then you do maths, right? X maths. Okay.
But yeah, but you have to add a just on top. Okay. Just
Yeah.
apply to a max x.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. And this you can actually express it as a fold. In fact, if you go look at it, it will suggest that it has a, why don't you do fold? Okay. Okay, it first says that there is some redundant parenthesis. You don't necessarily need it. Okay, okay, fine. It accepts this. So how do you express it as fold? Can somebody tell? My max, let me call it. My maximum prime. Again, it is odd a arrow. Odd a implies list a arrow, maybe a. Okay.
Sir,
Yes.
I don't think I understood the type for folder one. Like why A, why the B's became A.
First of all, okay, so let's go this. So what is the definition of folder one? Let us first look at that. Okay, if I told you that, then it will be clear. Okay, so let me I have to junk up this thing. Folder one, my folder one, let me call it. My folder one of f, there is no v, remember. F of empty list equals, it is not at all defined. Okay, so you're defining it only for starting with singleton lists, and in this case you're going to choose it as x. Okay, so the return value of the function and the return value of my folder one and the is the same type, has the same type as the element of the list.
Okay. Yeah.
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 So let me write for type of folder. Okay. Now the return value of folder 1, which ought to be B, has the same type as the element of the list, which is A, right? Because
Yeah.
for the base case you're giving, that is why B becomes equal to A. And then you don't require another argument, the initial value, so you cut that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sir.
Now do you understand?
Yeah, sir. So you don't, the B inside is not that because initial value has the same.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't pass an initial value at all. The initial value is the same. First of all, it works only for non-empty lists, and for a singleton list, you just take that value.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is your initial value in some sense. It works only on non-empty lists, and it treats the last element of the list as your initial value. Is it
Yeah.
clear?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this is just the same as earlier. Fx my folder 1 fxs. Yeah, that's it. Yes. Pattern, yeah, pattern matching is non-exhaustive. Nothing I can do about it. If you want, you can do something like this. I mean, this is not correct programming. It's not, you don't want to give errors like this, but I'm just trying to ensure that there are no silly warnings here about non-exhaustive patterns. So let me get back to our maximum. Okay. So I want to now express this as a not a folder 1 but a folder, but I should return a maybe A value. So what do you think my F is and what do you think my V is? Let me just put where V. I'll first determine what V is. What is V? In the case of empty list, what do you return?
Nothing.
Okay. And what is F? What will be the type of F? Okay. Type of F will be actually A arrow, maybe A arrow, maybe A. Yeah, because A is the current element of the list. Maybe A is the type of the recursive value that you computed, which is some either nothing or some just X or whatever. So then you want to do it like this. Here it automatically did it. You can just say just. Okay, fine, good. So what is F then? F of yeah, how would you write this now? Somebody tell me please. Remember, there is no recursion, nothing. This is just a function that takes two arguments and puts them together. It takes an A. Yeah, so F, okay. So there are two cases. The first argument is some X, let us say. The second argument, there are two patterns. The second argument is either nothing. In which case, what do you say?
X.
What is the X? Okay. Not X, but just X. Okay. And the other pattern is that it is just Y or just M. In which case you say just of X max M. M max X, whichever. Yes, okay. I need to add an OR. I've written the same thing as that.
So the definition of F should have odd in it.
F itself should have odd. Right. Here I should just put that. Sorry. Okay, good. Okay. Okay, good. So we have done all this. Let's get back to the slides. Okay, so we've seen all this. Now fold from the left. Sometimes it is quite useful to fold from the left. Okay, and fold from the left is, we can sit and derive the types if we want, but fold from the left, first let us focus on the equations. Fold FV empty list is V, and you want to do the sum from the left, sum or whatever, you want to do the combining from the left. So basically, the way to treat it is that now you will treat V as treat V as something in which you accumulate. V is the result. Okay, so if you keep accumulating the result as you walk through the list. Okay, so initially yes, so yeah, let us first look at the equation. So fold L of FV x followed by xs. What you will actually do is you will say, okay, so instead of using V as the seed value, I will use F applied to V and X as the seed value and then do recursively fold L on xs. Is it clear? So now so the difference in fold R and fold L is, in fold R you first compute the recursive value and then come back and combine it. Okay, I should write it here. In fold R, you make the recursive call, you compute the recursive value first. Recursive value on the tail first. And then combine with first element. Okay. In fold L, the argument V is not to be thought of as initial value, but as accumulated value. You keep on accumulating something into a value. Okay, it's like think of a running sum. Okay, you are accumulating the sum so far into that. Okay, and the way you do it is you on X, you first modify the accumulated value to F on V and X. Okay, F applied to V and X, and then make the recursive call. So it's a completely different order of operations. Okay, then make the recursive.
Sir, is it more close to the lazy evaluation thing?
Actually, it turns out that fold R is closer to lazy evaluation. This is more close to eager evaluation actually, because at every point you are actually accumulating the value and then making the recursive call. Okay, rather than saying, okay, I'll get my recursive value and then make the updation. You are not doing that. I'll first make the recursive call and then, that is lazy actually. I'll make all the recursive calls possible, and only when the values return, I will do my accumulation. Okay. Whereas here you are saying, okay, this value I'll straight away update and pass it to. As it turns out, this is also lazy, and that's a problem which we can see in the next class. But on the next class will only be next week. Okay, because Deepavali we don't have this thing, but that's okay. It is okay to spend time on folds. Okay, it's an important topic. Anyway, so is it clear? It's a fundamentally different order of evaluation. Okay, right? So this is like summing from the left, therefore. So you have the initial value first. You first accumulate that to you first use F to combine V and X1. You use that as the accumulated value, and you go down to the recursive call, and then what you will do is you will then combine it with X2, and then you will combine it with Xn, etc., etc. So the combination is from the left. Okay, and it is very, very useful for certain things, like for instance translating a string of digits to a number. Okay, it is very hard to do it with from the right. Okay, because you made a recursive call. So the point is that if you want to translate a string of digits to a number, the string of digits is some x colon x is C colon C is, let us say. Okay, you can you can recursively translate the C's to a number and then come back. But if you want to now combine the C to the recursive value, then you will have to figure out what is the number of digits in that number, right? This is the usual problem. Whereas you can always treat the, if you go from left to right, you can always have an accumulated value, and you're only, so the difference is that if you have a value for a number, for a string, and if you add a digit to the left, it's much harder than if you add a digit to the right, right? So it is more natural to do fold else in this case. Okay, this is a canonical example of fold L. Okay, so we can actually okay, but let us first figure out the type of fold L. Fold L.
So
Yes.
So you said something about for folder, you need to know the number of digits and.
Yeah, no, not for folder in general. For that particular example, string to numbers. If so, suppose you want to convert a string of digits, it's in the string form right now. You want to convert it to an integer. It's just some conversion thing. So there are two things you can do now. If you start with a string of the form C colon C's, okay. So no, or this overall process, you can start from the rightmost digit and add digits to the left. Okay, in which case you need to figure out what the integer corresponding to a new number is when you add a digit to the left. That's much harder than adding a digit to the right. That's all I meant.
So I don't understand how are we converting it to integer?
No, okay, fine. Let's do it this way. Let's first string to number. Okay. It's a list of characters to list of int, and I am assuming that the characters are all between 0 and 9. Okay, so there is no problem. Okay, so let's do it. What is string to num of empty list? So instead I'll call it empty string. I'll call it 0. Okay, then okay, what is string to num of C followed by C's? You have to recursively call string to num of C's. And then what do you have to do? That's an integer, you see. Okay, so string to num of C's you have, but then you have to combine it with the C. First of all, we can have a digit to int or whatever. That is some, yeah. So you have a, so what do you need to do? There is a way to convert a digit to integer, just the type. So for instance, if I do digit to int of 2, I'll get the number 2. You see, here it's a character, there it's a number. Okay, so now what do I need to do? I can do digit to int of C and I'll get a number, but that's a single digit number. Here, let us say there are 4 digits to the string to num of C's.
Oh, yeah.
I have to add it to the left now, so I need to multiply it by 10 power whatever length it is.
Yeah.
You see the point? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So what is a better way to do it? In such cases, you will always do it as follows. You will say, okay, I'll use an accumulator value. String to num of any string equals go. No, I don't even need to say string. I'll say equals go 0. Go is some function I am going to define now. Local function. Okay. Okay, where go 0 empty list, go A in general. A is the accumulated value. Go A empty list. If you accumulated the value A till now, and if you encountered the end of the list, what will you return?
A, right?
A. Yes. Okay. Otherwise, go A of C followed by C's is what? Yeah, you want to make a recursive call with a modified accumulator. In the modified accumulator, what it does, you have a number A till now, you want to add the digit C to the right. Adding the digit C to the right is easy, right? How do you add the digit C to the right? So you want to do go of the modified value. What is the modified value? How do you add a digit to the right of A?
So you multiply by 10.
Exactly, that's all. 10 times A plus digit to int of C on C's. Okay, So you see that there is a variable not in scope because I have to do I have to do that. Okay, then it is fine. Is it clear? So these are two patterns for recursion in general. Okay, this folder captures the normal pattern, which is that you make a recursive call first and then you combine it with the head value. Fold L captures the other pattern where you have an accumulator and you just accumulate values, change the accumulator and make a recursive call. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So fold L represents the accumulator strategy. Fold R represents the normal natural strategy. Sometimes the accumulator strategy is more efficient. Sometimes the normal strategy is more efficient. Okay. And in fact, it turns out that for list reversal, we tried the normal strategy. We said, oh, reverse of x colon x is equals reverse of x's plus plus list x. Okay. And that's not very efficient because you're doing plus plus. But then we said, oh, that we had that reverse into, we said. Okay. Now, actually using fold L. Okay. So now let me first do the string to num. Instead of doing all this, I could have just simply said fold L where the function is nothing but I have a number and I have a character, and what do I do is let me call the number 10 times n plus digit to int of c. Okay, that is the function. What is the initial value? 0. That's it. Yes. Do you all see the pattern? This is how you use folder. Right? And what did I want to say now? I'll take some 10 more minutes, then I'll stop. Yes, here's how it works. So here you can see this example. For simplicity, I'll call it GNC instead of 10 times n plus digit to int of c. So string to num of 234 is nothing but fold L of G0, which is the initial value, 234, which is nothing but the first thing you need to do is you change the accumulator. G applied on 0 and the character 2. You do fold L G of this whole thing and then call it on 34. But then this instead of this whole call can now be modified as fold L G of G applied on this thing G02, and then you modify the accumulator basically again and then call on 4. You again modify the accumulator and call an empty string. At that point you are saying, oh, return the accumulator. When you have to return the accumulator, you do the actual calculation. Okay, it is 10 times what all these things. Okay, and then you will get to 234. Is it clear how it works? Yeah, so you're doing it from the left. Okay, great. Yes, and because of the way you do it, the type of fold L is this. So let us just look at that as well. Yes, so the initial value should be combined from the left, and the array, the list is the type of the list is the type of each element of the list is A, but you want to combine the initial value or accumulated value from the left. So the initial value is of type B. And you will be every time you modify your accumulator, right, by combining it to an element of the list. So it is B arrow A arrow B. That is the type of the function. The initial value is B. The final thing is B. Okay. So this is the type of fold L. And yeah, right. So that's one example of fold L. Okay. So there is something to say about fold Rs and fold Ls, which is that they will require a lot of space. Okay, they'll use a lot of wasteful space, both fold R and fold L. Why? Because of this. So let us say this is the definition of fold R. forget that. Start from here. Folder of fv x1 dot 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 xn, okay, is actually nothing but do the recursive call on x2 dot 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 xn and then apply fx1. But you cannot apply f1 x1 f1 the thing till you get the recursive value back. Okay, so first do the recursive call, that is fx2 folder whatever, and so on. So but you cannot do this folder first. You have to make a recursive call. You cannot do this if combining with this first. You have to make a recursive call. So do that. That is fx3 whatever. So on. Finally, you will ultimately have something like this. Okay, which you will say, okay, this whole thing is nothing but v, and then you will reduce it to this form. Now you will start actually applying f one by one. To give a concrete illustration, suppose you're doing folder of +0 1 dot dot 100. You will say, okay, the plus function applied on 1 and folder +0 2 dot dot 100, which is nothing but the plus function applied on 1, and this internal thing is the plus function applied on 2 and then folder of +0 whatever. This whole thing is this. Finally, you will have a huge expression like this. Haskell has a way of internally representing these expressions. But the larger these expressions grow, the more space it needs. Eventually, it might run out of space. Okay, and so it not just that it will run out of space, it will also take a lot of time to calculate these things. So one favorite pastime with my older machines used, in fact, one way of checking how good your machine is to check how folder works on ridiculously large lists. Okay, folder +0, nothing more. Okay, 1 dot dot 10,000, let us say. Okay, oh, that was quick. 100,000. Okay, so you can see it slightly slowing down. Good. It is slowing down, but also you see that the space required keeps going up. Okay, but okay, this is only for fold R, because fold R you are making the recursive call and then combining. But fold L you are being smarter, right? You are first combining then making the recursive call. Let us see how fold L works on the last example. Oh, I'm sorry. I need to figure out something about my GHCI, which is that what the call that I actually made is fold L. Yeah, this is the call that I actually made. You see that this also requires time. Okay, not that fold L is being this thing, but if I try something called fold L prime, I mean even 0. You see this is much snappier. Okay, and it also uses less space. Okay, so fold L prime is what you have to use when you have to save on space and also make it quicker. Okay, and I'll tell you what fold L prime is. Firstly, is it clear why? Is it clear that folder has unevaluated expressions hanging around for a lot of time? Okay, and then finally only it will evaluate it. Yes.
So on the terminal or whatever, you put fold, right? What does fold for? So in the terminal you.
Yeah, fold, yes.
So yeah, you use fold. What is that? How did that work? Like on top?
Oh, sorry. I wanted to use fold L, fold R or fold L. Fold actually turns out to be, I did that by mistake, but fold actually might be defined to be just fold R, I think, for integers. Or is even saying not in scope. I don't know. So fold, type of fold. Oh no. Sorry, Srimati. So that was not fold. Okay. What happens is that I have a problem with my GHCI. It's a new machine that I have. And when I type backspace in GHCI, it doesn't reflect it correctly. Okay. So the command is just this. Sorry about that. The command is not this garbled thing. That's some garbled thing. This is the command actually. So there is no fold that I used. It is only fold L. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay.
So, but how did it work? I didn't understand. How did it?
No. It automatically. So the point is, it is the problem not with interpreting the. So in some sense, it is a problem with reflecting what I type on the screen. If I have an expression and if I do backspace somewhere inside it, it doesn't reflect it on the screen properly, but it interprets it correctly.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I had a fold L, right? I did something and then I did a backspace. Okay. It correctly deletes wherever I wanted it to delete, but it doesn't reflect it properly on the screen. Okay. Sorry. So that I need to figure out still. It's a new machine and I am. So this is what I did. This is what I did. Yes. Okay, fine. So yes, the point is this: if f needs both inputs, it will be applied only at the end after doing all the recursive calls. So you need space to carry huge expressions around. Okay, and that's a problem. Fold L on the other hand works like this. So fold L of fv x1 dot 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 xn is fold L of f and then fv x1. That is the updated accumulator, and then it makes the recursive call. Okay. Then for this, it needs to update the accumulator again and make the recursive call. But the point is, the updated accumulator that it has is still an expression. It doesn't evaluate it. Why? Because Haskell is lazy. Haskell won't evaluate it till it needs the value. Okay. Right now, that is one expression. It is rewriting it to another expression. So it will keep the expressions around. Finally, it will rewrite it to this huge expression only when it comes to the empty list case. And after that also, if you want to print it, maybe then it will evaluate it. Okay. So in case you have plus, for instance, this is the plus and 0, this is what is happening. So you're doing all this. You're doing this, you are modifying the accumulator here, you are modifying the accumulator again and calling on 3 dot dot. You're again modifying the accumulator. Eventually, you will modify the accumulator and get some huge value like this, huge expression like this, then call it on the empty list, which will still result in this huge expression. Okay, which you finally evaluate and get to 50. Okay, good. So once again, you have the same problem as folder, because these expressions, just because you updated the accumulator doesn't mean that the updation is immediately evaluated. Okay, so therefore, you still need space to carry huge expressions around. Therefore, Haskell offers you something called fold L prime. Who asked about what is lazy, what is eager? Somebody asked about lazy earlier. Who was it? When I introduced fold L. Hello?
Yes, sir. I asked if Foldel was more lazy.
Fold L is lazy, folder is also lazy. Fold L prime is eager. Okay, in the sense that it will eagerly do your evaluation. So it won't keep your first argument as fvx, rather it will evaluate it. And this is some bit of Haskell internals. You don't need to know it right now. This seq means sequence. Okay, and the way it works is that it will force y to be evaluated first. Okay, and then only it will do. Here is where Haskell violates its own laziness principle. It creates an eager version of this. You don't need to worry about this. All you need to know is that you don't need to worry about the internal details. All you need to worry about is that so seek is sequencing. All it does is evaluates the first argument and does the second expression only, in some sense. But the point is that if the first argument is used in the body of the second argument, then that will be directly used. It won't be. So for instance, here you are evaluating y first and then using it in fyxs. Okay, what really happens is that it is best understood in terms of this example. So fold L prime fv x1 dot 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 xn will be fold L prime f y1 x2 dot 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 xn, where y1 is the evaluated value of fv x1. Okay, it doesn't carry it any longer as an expression, it carries it as a value. Okay, this is the important difference. It evaluates it and carries it as a value. At the next step, it will evaluate this and carry it as a value. Okay, so just one number. And in the next step, it will evaluate fy2 x3 and carry it as a value. Okay, so throughout, so if you look at the, yes, this is the thing. So if you look at this example, it will be fold L prime of plus 0 1 dot dot 100 will be fold L prime of plus 1 2 dot dot 100, because 1 is plus of 0 and 1. Then it will go to 3 because that is plus 1, 2. Then it will go to 6 because that is plus of 3 and 3, and so on and so forth. You see how much simpler this picture is. You are not carrying some huge expression around to be evaluated only at the very end. Okay, you will evaluate everything as you go along. Okay, so this is the difference between fold L and fold L prime, and there are more subtle things, fold R on infinite lists, etc., which we shall handle when we meet after Deepavali. Okay, so if there are any questions, you can please ask now. But I hope you have some basic understanding of fold L and fold R. Fold L and fold R you can easily use. Fold R is to be used for the normal recursion pattern. Fold L is to be used when you want to use the accumulator kind of pattern. Sometimes if you want a more efficient version of fold L, you use fold L prime. Okay, so these are the three things that you need to remember, and it is good to try to use these folds as much as possible. Okay, I mean, not when it cannot be used, but if you find yourself doing so, a typical way of writing a Haskell program would be when you start writing a recursion explicitly and recognize a pattern. At that point, you shouldn't just say, oh, I have done all this work writing this explicit recursion, I'll leave it be. Okay, at that point, you should just change it and go to the more abstract pattern. This will do two things. When you later read the code, it is easier to understand what is happening because it's one single line like this. Oh, you're saying, okay, I'm combining every element in the list by using this function. Rather, if I give this recursion, unless you go into it and read the recursion, you will not realize that whether just some fold is happening or map is happening or filter is happening. Okay, whereas it is better to say it upfront. Okay, so if you do the more abstract patterns later, when you read your code, you will realize what is going on. But also it will, whenever you do this, you write the explicit recursion, get it correct, convert it to the more abstract form, then you will slowly internalize the more abstract forms and start directly programming in terms of folds and maps and filters, etc. Okay, so that is all you need to know about folds right now. So please go through the thing that I've uploaded. I'll definitely upload an assignment by today, so and give you some enough time after Deepavali to solve it. So yeah, so hopefully that will give you more practice and make you more comfortable with Haskell. So I'm sorry about the delay. The main point of the assignment is to make you more comfortable. So I'll do it today. If there are any questions, you can please ask. Otherwise, let me stop the streaming anyway. How do I stop the stream?